Hello and welcome to RTD's English News Edition. The major stories for tonight are: the head of state took part in the 12th editions of the Ethiopian festivities in Samara. And on the International Day of Anger in the Palestinian territories. Thank you for joining us. The President of the Republic participated yesterday in Samara, the capital of Afar region of Ethiopia, at the 12th edition of festivities of nations and nationalities. In his arrival in Samara, the President of the Republic was welcomed by the Ethiopian Minister of Transport and the Ethiopian embassy in Djibouti, and the Ethiopian officials, including the President of the Afar region of Ethiopia, Mr. Haji Siyum, and thereafter headed to the stadium where he was greeted by the Ethiopian officials. Subsequently, the President was welcomed by the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Mr. Haile Mariam Desalegn, and took his place next to the Ethiopian Prime Minister. Numerous foreign officials took part in this big ceremony, including Sudanese President Omar Hassan Bashir, a representative of the Somali government as well. He was accompanied by a strong delegation, including the Minister of Commerce Hassan Hamad, the Minister of Culture Mohammed Hassan Barre, and other officials in the Secretary General of the Prime Minister Naguib Abdallah Kamil. The traditional Afar authorities, including the Sultaness of Tijara Abdul Qadir and those of Dikhil, took part in these festivities alongside the President. These festivities, which took place, each saw the participation of all the Ethiopian communities of all the states as well as regions of Ethiopia to celebrate the 12th edition of the festivities of the nations and nationalities of Ethiopia. The Djiboutian troop took part in the parade during its passage in the big stadium of Samara with a capacity of 35,000 people. This feast symbolizes the unity of all the Ethiopian nations and nationalities that meet and live in harmony under the same flag. The head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, in an intervention, thanked the people and the leaders of the Afar region of Ethiopia for the warm welcome that was reserved for him. At the same time, he wished a happy feast to all the components of this region. President Guelleh stressed that the two peoples are brothers and friends. As for the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Haile Mariam Desalegn addressed and thanked President Ismail Omar Guelleh, Sudanese President Omar Hassan Bashir, the Somali Vice President, and all the leaders of the friendly countries who came to participate in the meeting. 12th Festival, but also to all those who have contributed to this festival of national is held. On the sidelines of the 6th Islamic Conference of Ministers of Health in Jeddah, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Mioki, and his delegation were received by the President of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Bandar bin Mohammed Hajar, at the bank's headquarters. During the meeting, discussions were focused on the future IDP financing projects in the field of health, on which the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Mioki, requested an acceleration in implementation. After welcoming the Djiboutian delegation to the Holy Land, the IDP President, Mr. Bandar bin Mohammed Al Hajar, welcomed the grievances of the Djiboutian side, which included training of Djiboutian medical specialties and health technicians, support to the fight against malaria, donation of quality drugs, the fight against communicable disease. In addition, the President of the Islamic Bank has agreed in principle to all funding related to advanced medical equipment for the future center dedicated exclusively to maternal and child health. The Minister of Health, Jamal Mioki, praised the continuous support of the IDP to our country, to which it contributes in the priority sector of health. And thereafter, the Minister of Health, Jamal Mioki, in his delegation attended a technical meeting with the Vice President of the Islamic Development Bank, who is responsible for human development and strategic analysis, Mr. Saeed Aqa. During this meeting, the Vice President was accompanied by his key collaborators, including the Djibouti Portfolio Manager, to discuss the ways and means to build on the achievements and consolidate the relations between our country and the Islamic Bank. In this high-level meeting, they discussed the portfolio of Djibouti to take stock of the various projects related to health and that are implemented by the IDP. At the end of this meeting, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Mouki, expressed his total satisfaction with the availability of the IDP and its special attention to the Republic of Djibouti. The Minister also thanked the IDP leadership for all their efforts in favor of Djibouti's health development. And finally, it was decided that an Islamic banking team will soon make an official visit to the Republic of Djibouti to finalize the financing projects under study at the bank. The 2017 African Forum was held from 7 to 9 December 2017 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, under the theme African Investment. During this forum, Mr. Ismail Margili, President of the Republic of Djibouti, was represented by his Minister of Housing, Urbanism and Environment, Musa Muhammad Ahmed, accompanied by Mr. Abdi Mish Akshir, and Secretary General of the Ministry to the Presidency in charge of investments. The forum, under the patronage Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, President of Egypt, saw the participation of African heads of states of Guinea, current chairperson of the African Union, the Côte d'Ivoire, Rwanda and Somalia, as well as prime ministers, as well as chairpersons of the African Union Commission. It should be noted that several thousand delegates took part in this forum. The three-day forum aims to strengthen and improve Africa's economic and cultural integration as well as investment. The forum aims to provide the various participants with a platform to promote trade and investment in Africa, to accelerate job creation and more inclusive growth. The 2017 Africa Forum program includes a day dedicated to young entrepreneurs to present their activities, and two presidential roundtables where business leaders were able to openly discuss policies with the African presidents present to help create a more conducive climate for business. The National Human Rights Commission, known as CNDH, in close collaboration with the GIS agency, organized a sensitization workshop on migrants' rights at IGAT's new migrant smuggling center. The working session was chaired by the President of the CNDH. This workshop was attended by several officials of the CNDH, senior officials of different sectoral ministries, regional advisors, the program manager, as well as actors of the local associative fabric. The meeting took place in the context of a full week of promotional activities and the protection of human rights in general, with a particular focus every day, and this is a credit to the CNDH and its partners. Conscious of Djibouti's strategic geographical situation in the context of increasing migratory flows, the CNDH intends to meet the challenges of collective ownership of migrants' rights so that they are taken into account and systemically known. The Pan-African Professional Network, Apple Network Club 54, closed the 4th International Conference on Harmonization of Economic Law and Business in the Comesa space on Thursday at the Kempinski Palace. The two-day regional symposium brought together lawyers to discuss the evolution of the process of economic integration in the Comesa area. The objective of this forum was to consult on the state of progress of the integration process of this part of the African continent, the impact of divergence of the economic legislation of the member states on the evolution of integration in the Comesa space. And let's recall that the ABLE network is composed of lawyers mainly from Africa and carrying strong commitments for their continent. A large number of members of this Pan-African professional network have made the trip from Sudan, Kenya, or even more, from Zimbabwe and Malawi, to take part in the regional symposium on the harmonization of business rights and the law in the Comesa space. The organizers of this regional forum aim to propose a framework for regional integration and to identify therefore the divergence that may exist between the legal and judicial systems within the Comesa area. Continuing with the national news, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, at the end of the day, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, led a refounding meeting of the Higher Education Committee with the senior officials of the central administration and the personal representative of the respective ministers. The meeting was held at the ministry in the presence of Secretary General of the MENFOP, Mohammed Abdullah Mahyoub, Executive Secretary of the Higher Education Committee, Mrs. Ayana Usman Abrar, and the several personal representatives of the ministers attended this meeting. The agenda of the meeting is to revitalize the Higher Committee of Education. It is a body whose mission is to harmonize policies, choices in education and training in the perspective of their adaptation to the changes affecting the national education system. The International Fair of Djibouti was closed yesterday, officially opened on 3 December 2017. This fair, which saw the participation of more than 350 businessmen and merchants of all categories, was all a total of an unprecedented success. This fair, organized by the Chamber of Commerce of Djibouti at the occasion of its 120th anniversary in collaboration with the ministers and partners concerned by the events, allowed the manufacturers, investors of Djibouti and elsewhere to exhibit during 6 days their products in on all the fields: cosmetics, perfumes, household and kitchen accessories, consumer products, manufacture of accessories for aeronautics or pro areas, and even container halls. It is the high authority managing the commerce and economy of the country, with the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Yusuf Musa Dawali, who successively closed this international fair in Djibouti, which has been a success for more than a title. And now on the international news, the United States faces the Council of Security of UN. Let's watch this video.
The United Nations face pain and sometimes returning criticism from friends and advisors alike at the United Nations on Friday over President Donald Trump's declaration that Jerusalem is Israel's capital and his plans to move the American embassy to the highly contested holy city. The request made at the Emergency Security Council meeting called over Mr. Trump's announcement constituted an extraordinary public denunciation of American policy on the world's most prominent diplomatic stage, leaving the United States alone on the issues among the council's members. On one, the ambassador of Sweden, Egypt, Britain, France and Bolivia, among others, reiterated their view that President Trump's announcement had subverted the two-state solution to Israel-Palestinian conflict, a long-time bedrock of the United Nations position on solving it. Some, like Bolivia's ambassador Sasha Sergio Laurenti Solis, demanded that the party take action, otherwise the Security Council will become unoccupied territory. It is unclear what the council members could do, however, except to voice their anger and frustration. The United States is one of the 5 permanent members and could veto any solution seeking to condemn President Donald Trump's decision.
In the Middle East as well, a day of anger in the Palestinian territories. Hindi Ibrahim has more to tell us.
Deadly clash, rock fire and air strikes marked the Muslim holiday on Friday as the Palestinians protested at President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Israel's soldiers firing guns on one side, Palestinian youth throwing stones on the other. Friday's signs were nothing new in the Middle East, but after President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, French blood has been spilled on the so-called Day of Rage. At least 2 Palestinians were killed, and according to Palestinian media, more than 200 injured in clashes with Israel troops in the West Bank and Gaza.
And in the Central Republic of Congo, where 14 UN officers were died. Let's watch this video.
Rebels have killed 40 peacekeepers and injured more than 40 in attack on the United Nations base in East Congo. At least 5 Congolese soldiers were also killed in attack in North Kivu province in a war attack in recent memory. Deputy UN spokesperson Farhan Haq said the peacekeepers were mainly from the Tanzania contingent. He added the peacekeeping base is located about 45 kilometers, 27 miles.
That's all for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.